It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
The Speed Station welcomes you to Sonoma Raceway for the running of the Toyota Save Mart 350. In the race analysis, today's event will take place over the course of 55 laps around the 1.99-mile road course here at Sonoma Raceway, with stage number 1 ending on lap 18 and stage 2 ending on lap 36, with the stages almost perfectly split up into thirds. Expect quite a bit of pit strategy throughout the course of this event, just like what we saw in the Camping World Truck Series race, with Jeff Stankiewicz pulling an aggressive strategy call, having Sheldon Creed stay out for more than 20 laps, which is well beyond a normal fuel run. They caught quite a few cautions, and they ended up getting to victory lane. You could see a very similar situation happen here tonight. This here wall on the front straightaway was a very large subject of discussion over the course of the week here at Sonoma Raceway. As you recall, in the Camping World Truck Series race, Brendan Poole actually broke his way through it in an accident between himself and Austin Theriault. So that alarmed Speedway Motorsports quite a bit about the safety concerns of having those two walls on the front straightaway, with the initial wall being rather thin in comparison to what you would consider a sturdy barrier. So as you can tell with the inside wall, what Speedway Motorsports did over the course of the time between the Camping World Truck Series race and now the Toyota Save Mart 350 is they've more or less merged both pit walls. The inside and outside pit walls are now one large wall that cannot be cracked through. The plan for next season, however, is to renovate the entire front straightaway to have safer barriers, but this was a more or less day one fix because they had to get this fixed before the Cup Series race, because that was just too large of a safety concern. Because you saw in the Camping World Truck Series event, from the front axle forward on the 30 truck of Brendan Poole, it was just ripped off because essentially that edge of the concrete, once he ripped through it, acted as a can opener, opening up the number 30 truck. So this whole wall, with how thick it is, it's practically twice or 3 times as thick as an average barrier at an oval. There is no way you're going to see anyone go through it. However, next year, like I said, it will have safer barriers and it will be a much better construction. This is just an initial fix, which will be fully renovated for the 2022 running here at Sonoma Raceway. In your regular season point standings entering tonight's event, Kevin Harvick, after winning last week at Louisville, still sets atop the point standings, leading the standings by 38 points above Joey Logano, who in the last race at Louisville moved all the way up to second in points, picking up 3 spots in that race. Clint Boyer picked up 1 spot at Louisville, 41 points out of the point lead, running third in points. Matt DiBenedetto is 44 points behind the leader. Denny Hamlin is 63 points back after missing Louisville in that whole fight with Brad Keselowski that they got $30,000 fines out of. Then Chase Elliott set 6th in points, 64 points out. Justin Allgaier and Austin Dillon both set 65 points out of the point lead. Daniel Suarez set 72 points out of the lead, and Alex Bowman set 74 points out of the point lead. Kyle Larson, the defending winner here at Sonoma Raceway in NASCAR's Cup Series, tested the next-gen NASCAR Spec Test car at the Sonoma Raceway. His feedback was rather similar to Austin Cindric's at Circuit of the Americas, as Larson has some past IMSA experience. In fact, he is a Rolex 24 class winner, and described the car as being more similar actually to what you would expect out of a GT car. Even knowing that he has never driven one of those in IMSA competition, it is more similar to that of an endurance racing road car than that of a Generation 6 Cup car that he's been running for many, many years on NASCAR's Cup level and running them on road courses. So really, from what we can tell, and especially with the 5-gear transmission, sequential shifter, very many elements out of touring cars, this car is rather purpose-built for road courses. It does kind of make you wonder how it's going to affect, in particular, short track racing, and also what NASCAR is going to do with the dirt tracks for next season. There's a lot of rumors that Dallara, who's building the chassis for these cars once they go into full-time production, is just going to bust out a full-on dirt car. A dirt specialized chassis for those events. So we still will have to wait and see, but the feedback from Larson is rather encouraging when it comes to at least the road course side of things, because at least the car does in fact handle good. As I mentioned at Circuit of the Americas, maybe it's a little bit concerning, the fact that the car handles so well, because, NASCAR racing on a road course is all about the car not wanting to turn easy, not wanting to drive the road course, because these are, an oval racing series. For every car ever since this oncoming next-gen car, it's been primarily just ovals, but NASCAR's trying to kind of integrate road courses in a little bit more of a major fashion. I wouldn't expect more than what we have right now, though, on the schedule. Maybe 8 races on road courses a year. That would be about the max that I think NASCAR would be willing to do. But still, it's rather interesting to see how this will work out for the future, because with 8 road courses on the schedule, we might as well make the road course car as good as we possibly can. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the NASCAR Cup Series Ride-Along segment. Here we are at Sonoma, California, preparing for the Toyota Save Mart 350. And I'll tell you what, coming up the hill into Turn 1, doesn't look just so much different running here in April. Under the lights, only full-on road course that actually does this, night racing, and the grass is in fact green. It's not just the sand-type topsoil that you get like it's a dust bowl and it's been over-farmed. This is pretty close to actual grass, although it's getting down to kind of like desert form grass, because it's not quite what you would get just about 2 months ago when it was lush and you could expect flowers growing in it. This is kind of sandy now, and in about 2 months it will be sand. Running through the S's on our outlap. Always love this racetrack. It was put on the schedule back in 1989, back when Riverside International Raceway unfortunately shut down. Got across the curb right there, almost lost it. But this track made up for the loss of Riverside International Raceway. And in my opinion, it does a great job at it, because it sure's got the history now. This track's been open for more than 50 years, and it is a fantastic racing facility with the drag strip on the right. Green flag for what I guess you could call a qualifying lap. Up into Turn 1, get on the brakes a little, downshift into third. Then once you get to Turn 2, downshift to second. At least that's my habit. Try to slide the car out a little bit. Then into Turn 3 and 3A, up a second crest. Then a tight corner through the chute in Turn 4A. Then you get to rocket the car down to 7A, which you have to downshift all the way down to first. Pick up the throttle once again, try to minimize wheel spin. Through Turn 8 right here. And then 8A. And then we're hit through 9 and 9A, and then down to 10. Very quick repeating S's pattern as I run the car through the grass a little bit right there. Very similar to Riverside in the sense that it has a long S pattern. It's just a staple, I guess you could say, of California road racing. Then in the very tight right-hander hairpin that is Turn 11, an incredible braking and passing zone, and onto the drag strip front straightaway. Getting all the way up into 4th gear, and there is a lap around Sonoma Raceway in a NASCAR Cup Series car. One of the funnest racetracks that we go to. A.J. Allmendinger has won the pole at the Sonoma Raceway in the number 16 in a partnership between Kaulig Racing and Spire Motorsports. He wins that pole above Austin Cindric. Those two have had quite a few battles in NASCAR's Xfinity Series on the road course. Cindric, your defending NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, quite accomplished on road courses. Joey Logano, who is his pseudo teammate at Team Penske, qualifies the number 22 car in third. He's been having great qualifying runs all throughout the season. Denny Hamlin, who won the most recent road course race at Circuit of the Americas, qualifies in fourth. Quinn Half in the number 40 for Chip Ganassi Racing qualifies in fifth. Clinton Boyer in the number 14 car qualifies sixth. Harvick, who won last week at Louisville, qualified the number 4 car in seventh. Brandon Jones qualified eighth. Jan Magnussen, who won at Palm Beach International Raceway, qualifies in ninth. And Jack Hawksworth, the number 5 car for Levine Family Racing, rounds out your top 10. And so now, let's get down trackside for the command.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Get a rhythm. Get ready to rock and roll today. It's a long race. There will be a lot of pit stops. So just go out there, do what you got to do. No mistakes. That's the big thing today. Just no mistakes.
A.J. Allmendinger leading the field onto the front straightaway, gearing up for the Toyota Save Mart 350. And there's the green flag. 16 car of Allmendinger trying to get the jump down to turn 1. Looks like he has done it and has cleared the 21 of Cindric as now they head up the hill in turns 1 and 2. 22 car of Joey Logano up on the outside. The 21 of Austin Cindric going for second. Logano up turn 3 and 3A on the outside of the number 21. Almost runs up into the grass as they both take the curbs awkwardly. These two battling side by side has opened up the gap out to the race leader of A.J. Allmendinger by about 0.4 of a second. As now down to turn 7A, Cindric re-clears the number 22 of Joey Logano and holds the second position. As now Denny Hamlin challenging the number 22 car of Logano for position through the S's as the yellow flag is already being displayed. We must have had some trouble in the back on the start. As A.J. Allmendinger now running through turn 9 has a pretty good separation above the 21 car of Cindric, so that at least proves his short run speed if we get a very late race caution. And here comes A.J. Allmendinger back to the start-finish line as your race leader under the first caution of the day above the second place runner of Austin Cindric. The 22 of Joey Logano, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, and the 40 of Quinn Half getting a great run for Chip Ganassi Racing. And here's why the caution initially came out. You see all the dust being kicked up onto the racetrack. The number 61 of Christopher Bell tries to get down to the inside of Josh Bilicki in turn 4A, makes contact with the 71 and accidentally turns himself around. As right there, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum had almost nowhere to go and drives into the right side of the 61. So that's what initially brought out the caution. But then racing back to the flag, the number 17 car of Chris Buescher goes a little bit wide into turn 10. William Byron tries to take advantage of that, diving in deep as well. Makes contact with the 17 car of Buescher coming off of 10, turning him straight into the tire barrier, knocking that number 17 car out of the race. Also keep in mind that this is all these drivers' final shot at making the All-Star race through a win. Because next weekend is NASCAR's All-Star night at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so that means this is your final chance to win your way in a points-paying race. You can, in fact, obviously make your way into the All-Star race through the Open, but I think it's a little bit sweeter to make it in by winning a points race, because then you get locked into the playoffs as well. Take a look at this. Under caution, we have had 2 cars blow engines. The 42 of Justin Allgaier, the winner at the Roval last season, runner-up at Circuit of the Americas, has an engine failure, and the same thing with Ryan Preece. Very strange situation, as now A.J. Allmendinger leading the field back into the restart zone on lap number 4. And there's the green flag. Very tough luck for the number 42 and 99 teams, both blowing their engines under yellow, as now Austin Cindric has his sights set on the number 16 car. On the inside, now up to the outside as the change of directions in the racetrack. The number 14 car clears the 20 of Brandon Jones. Logano slides a little bit wide in turn number 3. Lets Hamlin pull the crossover through 3A as the 20 of Brandon Jones slides all the way into the loose dirt. On the inside in 4A, Denny Hamlin takes up the 3rd position with a great pass on the 22 of Joey Logano. Quinn Half still resides in 5th as he has the number 14 car of Clint Boyer running him down as well through the S's. And guess what? After just one more lap, we are back under caution. This is very abnormal for Sonoma, especially comparing it to the Camping World Truck Series race, as A.J. Allmendinger leads the field back to the start-finish line as your race leader above Austin Cindric, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Quinn Half. But we did not get very many cautions in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race until later in the event. It looks like today we're doing a lot of the wrecking in the beginning of the event. Oh, and look at this. Team Penske teammates getting into it right on the restart up the hill in turn number 2. The 12 car of Ryan Blaney clips his teammate Matt DiBenedetto and sends him down to the 1 of Kurt Busch, turning them both around and causing a bit of a stack-up in the entry to turn number 3. Kurt Busch gets the car corrected. Blaney, for some reason, still pushing the 2 car of DiBenedetto, but still a very strange incident between the teammates at Team Penske. Quite a bit of infighting in that organization lately. You have to wonder if there's something going on there, as the 12 car Blaney has pretty significant front-end damage. And this time by on lap number 5, it looks like we have most of the field coming onto pit road, being led down by A.J. Allmendinger and Austin Cindric. And so we know how crucial pit strategy was in the running of the Camping World Truck Series race. It's very hard to pass once somebody takes up a spot. You have to make sure that you nail these pit stops. And look at this, A.J. Allmendinger gets a very slow stop in the 16 car, as Austin Cindric takes the race lead off of pit road above Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Quinn Half, Clint Boyer, as the 16 car of A.J. Allmendinger loses many spots in the pits. A very poor stop for the Colleague Racing Inspire Motorsports number 16. And so now that Allmendinger is restarting in 6th position, you have to wonder how strong that car really is in traffic, because we all know it's very hard to make up spots here at Sonoma unless you do it in the pits. But if his car is, in fact, really strong, he might be able to carve his way back through the field before the end of Stage 1 if we actually get some green flag racing in. How about the number 38 car of Anthony Alfredo, currently running in 10th position? A fantastic run going on so far for Alfredo. He ran very well at Palm Beach as well, really showing his speed on the road courses this season. And look at that. They had to cut the hood and front bumper cover off of the number 12 car of Ryan Blaney after making contact with the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto. That will certainly slow that 12 car down just a little bit, but fortunately for him, there's not too many high-speed sections of this racetrack. It's unlike Watkins Glen where there's big, long straightaways. Here, you can work with a little bit of aerodynamic damage, although I'm not quite sure about that much. And now Austin Cindric leading the field into the restart zone on lap number 7. And the green flag is back out. The field trying to make at least 1 lap under green, as here comes Kyle Larson all the way on the bottom, making a 3-wide move around the 14 and 40 cars, going from 8th to 4th on the restart. An incredible move by the 57 car. Larson, who won here last season, really proving that team's strength at this racetrack. And he was also able to test the next-gen car earlier on in the week, as now it looks like the 40 car of Half has cleared him. Larson back down to 5th, with the 40 car running in 4th position. And through the S's, the 57 car now up into 4th position, getting around the 40 of Quinn Half. Denny Hamlin just runs it a little bit wide, now entering turn 9. Lost about 0.2 of a second off the 21 car of Cindric with that mistake. And it looks like finally we're going to be able to complete a green flag lap, as the 14 still holding up the 16 car of Allmendinger, as the 38 of Anthony Alfredo has actually gotten around your pole sitter well within the top 10 at this point, as Jan Magnussen now battling side by side with Kevin Harvick, clearing that 4 car. 38 of Anthony Alfredo running in 7th position, one of the best runs all year for Front Row Motorsports. Remember that they won last year at the Talladega Superspeedway with Michael McDowell, the second to last race of the year, as Hamlin up into the dirt on the exit of turn 3A. That really closed the gap for the 20 car of Logano as he puts the bumper to him through the chute, trying to outbrake him into turn 7A. Couldn't quite do it. Slows up just a little bit, and that's going to bring Kyle Larson up into this mix. And I'm sure Austin Cindric loves what he's seeing in his mirror, as these three really going after each other for second. Hamlin trying to redeem himself after a very disappointing week at Louisville Motor Speedway, as Brad Keselowski, who he was in that fight with, currently resides 21st. And how about Kyle Busch, by the way? He's running in 22nd. Now Harvick and Alfredo battling side by side for position. Alfredo takes it at the start-finish line, as A.J. Allmendinger has actually gotten his way back around Anthony Alfredo. A.J. running in 7th, Alfredo in 8th, Harvick in 9th. As Hawksworth and Brandon Jones battle for 10th, it looks like it might be Jones to take it through 3 and 3A. But it looks like Hawksworth really dove it into the corner, trying to slide that 20 car wide, and he has done it. 20 almost into the dirt. Look at Chase Elliott slide that car out as Jack Hawksworth takes up the 10th position. And in the braking zone of turn 7A, the 48 car of Alex Bowman tried to get around the 37 of Eric Jones, could not do it through the S's. 37 got a very straight shot up on the outside line and cleared him. Also, Martin Truex Jr. currently running with the 9 car of Chase Elliott. These two have battled quite a bit before at road courses. Right within the top 15 is, look at Truex, goes wide on the exit of turn number 10, almost gets up into the dirt but manages to stay on the curbing. As here comes Eric Jones down to the inside in turn 11. 48 car Bowman runs it wide just a little bit. Eric Jones forcing Truex up the racetrack and onto the front straightaway. But Truex clears the number 37 of Eric Jones. Here's the gap out front. Austin Cindric has put about a 1.2 second separation above Denny Hamlin in the number 11 car as the 22 has dropped back. 57 being battled by the 14 and 40 in turn 4A as Quinn Half trying to outbrake him into 7A. Larson's going to get that straight shot off the corner, trying to clear that 40 car. They run side by side through the S's. Quinn Half trying to run him wide, and he does so. Quinn Half takes up the 4th position off the 57 car of Kyle Larson. Larson formerly drove for Chip Ganassi Racing, as now Ganassi takes up the 4th position with driver Half. Here comes Clint Boyer down to the inside of the 57 as well, taking the inside lane off the 57, now side by side onto the front stretch. Larson going to try and run him wide, and he does so. Larson back into the position, getting around the 14 of Boyer. Clint Boyer trying to win in his final start, what will likely be his final start at the very least at Sonoma Raceway. He's had good runs here before, but has never been able to capitalize and take home the victory. Look at this through 3A. 14 and 57 battling side by side. Boyer into the dirt just a little bit. Now into 4A, trying to slide it wide. Looks like Larson has cleared him once again. And here comes the 4 car of Harvick trying to outbrake the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. Alfredo is going to get that straight shot off of turn 7A. And Alfredo once again clears Kevin Harvick in the 4 car. And he runs it wide just a little bit. Lets Harvick get back up to the back bumper, but it's not going to be enough into turn number 10. He's going to have to try and set up a pass into turn 11 if he can do so. He's right up to the back bumper. Couldn't quite make the look down to the inside. And it looks like the 38 car of Alfredo might be able to put just a bit of a gap on the 4 car of Harvick. Jack Hawksworth and the 20 of Brandon Jones battle side by side for position. Hawksworth still holding the 10th position as Jan Magnussen has dropped down to 12th. Denny Hamlin has actually started to run down the 21 car of Austin Cindric. The gap has been cut down to 0.8 of a second. Remember that Hamlin is your most recent road course race winner at Circuit of the Americas, trying to get 2 in a row on the road courses. However, Austin Cindric is a very accomplished road course racer and will be able to hold off that 11 car for quite a few laps. Even knowing he is in his first full-time season in Cup Series competition, he's no rookie on the road courses, I'll tell you that. 11 car of Hamlin's just a little bit better than that 21 of Austin Cindric under braking, but it looks like Cindric can really get a gap on the 11 car of Hamlin coming off the corners, and he really builds that gap off of turn 11, where, you know, you have the very tight corner, very hard to get all the way back to the throttle without having wheel spin, and then probably what you could call the longest straightaway on track, even though there's quite a few turns within it. It's the longest you'll be full throttle on this racetrack. So it looks like that's where the 21 car of Cindric is beating him. But that last lap, the gap was cut down to just 6.5 tenths of a second. So it looks like Hamlin's still turning in better time than the 21. And the yellow flag is being displayed once again. We had an incident through the S's with the number 61 car of Christopher Bell. Bell has not been having any good luck whatsoever this season, having quite a few struggles in Hattori Racing Enterprises' first season of Cup Series competition. As onto the front straightaway, Austin Cindric is still your race leader in the number 21, as the 11 car of Hamlin dropped back quite a bit that lap, still resides in second position. Above, Joey Logano in third. Fourth is Quinn Half, and fifth is still being held by your defending race winner here at Sonoma, Kyle Larson. And here's what happened to the 61 car of Christopher Bell entering turn 8. He accidentally chops the nose of the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto, and then it looks like he catches the straight edge of the tire barrier. Quite a bit of front-end damage on that 61 car of Christopher Bell, and that has actually knocked him out of today's running. And here's it from just another angle at full speed. Here, take a listen to the impact. A pretty straight impact into that tire barrier, unfortunately knocking that 61 car out of the Toyota Save Mart 350. Bell and the 61 team really need to figure out a way of getting this team back on track. And look at this, now we have a bit of strategy going on as we near the end of stage number 1. Joey Logano coming onto pit road. It looks like he's the only taker so far. So that moves Quinn Half forward 1 position and the rest of the field behind him. Austin Cindric still going to be your race leader on the restart, above Hamlin, Half, then Larson, and Boyer making up your top 5. Also on pit road this time by is the number 41 of Cole Custer, so it looks like those two are pitting this time by. So the caution for stage number 1, everybody else hopefully pits, at least in their circumstance, and those two wind up being first and second after the stage 1 caution. And now Austin Cindric leading the field into the restart zone with just 3 laps to go in stage number 1. Green flag. Here comes Clint Boyer to the inside of Kyle Larson, up the hill and into turn number 1. Trying to make his way into 4th position. Oh, and we got cars into the grass. Hard impact for Magnuson, Hawksworth, and Suarez. Caution flag is back out. A horrific crash entering turn number 1. As Denny Hamlin still trying to run down that 21 car of Cindric. On the inside, Larson getting around the 14 of Clint Boyer. Looks like he has done it as well. Quinn Half now starting to run down the 11 car of Hamlin. Anthony Alfredo on the inside trying to pressure Boyer. The gap back to Denny Hamlin has been extended out to almost half a second. Cindric runs it just a little bit wide, entering turn number 9. Now into turn 10. 21 car still with a pretty controlling lead. Hamlin going to try and maximize his braking zone to turn 11, but it's not going to amount for that much. Now exiting the final turn. Austin Cindric back through the gears as a first gear turn. Onto the front straightaway. Austin Cindric leads the field back to the caution flag as the stage number 1 winner, above Denny Hamlin, Quinn Half, Kyle Larson, and Clint Boyer. So entering turn number 1, Magnuson feels like the 5 car of Hawksworth is a little bit too slow on the restart. The 00 car of Suarez also trying to take advantage of this. Magnuson makes contact with the 5 car of Hawksworth up the hill. Daniel Suarez right here is just collateral damage, but these 3 all run into the dirt going up the hill and turns the 5 car of Hawksworth straight into the tire barrier. Now, Magnuson and Suarez were both able to drive out of this accident, but Hawksworth had to be pulled from the car. He was a little sore, but still uninjured, fortunately. A lot of the safety measures that NASCAR took after Matt Kenseth's crash at Pocono last season, that has practically revolutionized the way that the driver's side of these Generation 6 cars are built. Fortunately, Hawksworth was able to walk out of this accident. However, he was just a little bit sore from it because he was more or less driven straight into the outside wall. And here's the crash at full speed. My goodness. All 3 cars almost straight into the wall. Had this been a higher speed impact, I believe that there might have been quite a few injuries out of this one. However, fortunately for Hawksworth, he hit the wall going about 62 miles an hour. And there you see Magnussen's car all the way up in the air. A very scary accident here at Sonoma. Next year, they plan on making very significant changes to this racetrack, in particular on the front straightaway. Here's my recommendation. On the hill, entering turn number 1, maybe put in a sand trap so that something like this can't happen, at least at such a high rate of speed. And here's the onboard with Hawksworth. Just accidentally makes contact with the 30 car, and then dead straight into the tire barrier with the 00 and 33 cars. And as you can tell, Jan Magnussen and Daniel Suarez have actually driven their cars back onto pit road, so there is no concern for those two, as they are actually still running. I don't think Suarez will be. It's entirely possible that they might get Magnussen back running, but I really, really doubt it, because that car was still fired, but there's probably very significant radiator damage on that 33 car. And obviously Jack Hawksworth is out of today's race. Fortunately, he is uninjured from that accident, obviously a little bit sore from it, but I think that we really dodged a bullet on that one. And you know what? It seems like cars have been dropping out in pairs recently. We actually had both the 23 car of Bubba Wallace and the 41 of Cole Custer come to a stall under the course of this caution. Neither of them are out of the race. However, they just both lost power under this caution. And now, after just a quick message from our partners, we'll be back right here at Sonoma Raceway for the beginning of stage number 2. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series. By Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval. And by Anthony's Online Simulation League. And so now your race leader, Austin Cindric, leading most of the field down pit road. However, one of the drivers who pitted on the most recent caution before this, Joey Logano, will stay out and assume the race lead. The other driver who pulled this strategy with him was Cole Custer, but he stalled under the yellow. So he will not be able to take advantage of this, as he now drops one lap down. So Logano is the only driver to stay out under this caution. And the first car out of the pits is the number 21 of Austin Cindric, getting out in front of the 11 of Hamlin, the 40 of Quinn Half, the 57 of Larson, and the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. They will all restart behind the number 22 of Joey Logano. And strangely enough, the number 3 car of Austin Dillon actually still resides on pit road. I guess they have not been able to get the 3 car refired since their pit stop. A very strange situation for RCR at the moment, as it looks like if they don't get that number 3 car refired very quickly, they may drop one lap down. And they finally got the number 3 car of Austin Dillon refired. They'll be racing the field as they are just now coming off pit road. Joey Logano leading the field into the restart zone for stage number 2. Green flag. Remember that Logano has about 5 or so lap older tires than the field behind him, and he gets a fantastic restart with warm tires as the rest of the field has cold rubber. Here comes Quinn Half up on the outside. The 11 car of Hamlin sliding up into the grass just a little bit on the exit of 3A. Those two were battling for, I believe, the 4th position. That was actually for 3rd. As now Larson trying to take advantage of the slowing number 40 of Quinn Half down on the inside. 38 of Alfredo trying to go 3 wide as well, as now it's back down to 2 cars wide with Larson and Half battling for position. That's going to move Kyle Larson back into 4th. Joey Logano really getting away with this race lead. More than 1 second of separation now between Logano and Cindric. And there you see up in front of Logano is the 3 car of Austin Dillon trying to remain on the lead lap as they got that car refired and back onto the racetrack. Entering turn 11, the 20 car of Brandon Jones down on the inside of the 16 of AJ Allmendinger. That's your pole sitter in the 16 car. These two battling side by side onto the front straightaway. Allmendinger re-clears him, as Chase Elliott also getting around the 4 car of Kevin Harvick. That moves Elliott into 9th and Allmendinger into 7th. Look at this gap between the 22 and 21 cars. Joey Logano has put over 2 seconds on the 21 of Austin Cindric. Oh, and Harvick up into the grass on the exit of turn 3A. That has brought Martin Truex Jr. to his back bumper. Anthony Alfredo goes very wide into the entry of turn number 9, battling with AJ Allmendinger. at the moment for 6th position. Slides wide once again. Here comes Larson to the inside of Hamlin, trying to send it in turn 11. Kyle Larson taking up the 3rd position off of Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, but Hamlin not giving up yet. Onto the front straightaway. He's going to try and run him wide. Side by side, it's Hamlin at the stripe to hold the position. Now up the hill into turn 1 and turn 2. Very quick corners. As you go over the crest, 57 still side by side with the 11. Larson looks like he's going to try and run Hamlin wide on the exit of 3A. And he does it. They're still going after it for position. Larson finally forces Hamlin up over the curb on the exit of turn 4A and takes up the 3rd position in the 57 car. Now has to get his sights set on the 21 of Austin Cindric, who has about a 1 second separation above him, and then Logano, who has 2.5 seconds above the 21 car of Cindric. An incredible run going on so far for Logano after he has just a little bit older tires than the rest of his competition. Here comes A.J. Allmendinger back down on the inside of Alfredo. Tried to make it work in turn 10, couldn't quite do it. Going to try and outbrake him into turn 11, but it looks like Alfredo's going to protect the 6th position. How about Quinn Half, by the way, in the 40 car? Resides in 5th, getting a great run for Chip Ganassi Racing. In fact, he is the highest Ganassi car in the field at the moment. Joey Logano now running down the number 3 car of Austin Dillon. It's going to make for a bit of an interesting situation once he catches the 3 car of Dillon, because you know very well that Dillon does not want to drop 1 lap down, so he's going to do everything in his power to stay in front of the 22. That might bring the 21 of Cindric back up into the mix. And you know very well that Kyle Larson is waiting for an opportunity to get out front. After winning here last season, this is their best racetrack as an organization, LGR. Obviously, their only Cup Series win came here last year. They're trying to win here once again, and it looks like they have race-winning pace. And keep in mind, the fastest lap of today's race was actually set by the number 22 car of Joey Logano, who is still out front. But with those older tires, he is at a bit of a deficit once everyone starts to wear down their tires, because Logano has those extra 4 or 5 laps that he has already ran on them. Obviously, he got to a big lead because his tires were already warm on the restart, but it's going to start to hurt him as we progress through this run, because remember that stage number 2 ends on lap 36, so we still have quite a bit of racing to go before we get to the end of stage 2. You know, Kevin Harvick does not have the best of luck when it comes to road courses. Even though he won here back in 2017, that was his only career road course race win. Harvick's still looking for greater success on the road courses. However, just in classic Harvick fashion, he resides in 9th position. And you know Harvick very well. He's all about scoring consistent finishes up front, not necessarily about winning, but about getting those points-paying positions. So at the end of the race, I would expect Harvick to probably finish top 5, as there you see Harvick slides wide on the exit of turn 10. That's going to bring Chase Elliott up to his back bumper entering turn 11. Here comes Elliott trying to outbrake him into the final turn. These two battling side by side for 9th position. But Harvick knows how to get his car to the end of the race in good condition. That's how he won at Louisville. Everybody tore up their equipment. And then he was able to lead the last 3 laps and score the victory, as now the 4 car clears the 9 once again. Harvick still resides in 9th position. And he entered this race as the regular season point leader. At this rate, he will be exiting this race as the regular season point leader, unless he ends up getting into some sort of trouble, as the 40 car of Quinn Half actually ran it into the dirt on the crest of turn 3A, and that let the 38 of Anthony Alfredo get right up to his back bumper, as Alfredo now trying to knock down the door to get up into the top 5. The gap between first and second has been extended out to 3.2 seconds between Logano and Cindric. However, Logano will be catching up to the back bumper of the 3 car of Austin Dillon. That's certainly going to make things tough on him. And look at this battle for position through turns 3 and 3A. 20 car Brandon Jones all over the back bumper of the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. Puts the bumper to him entering 4A. These two battling for the 7th position. Brandon Jones trying to outbrake him now. Gets just a little bit too high on the curb. And it looks like the 16 still side by side with the 20. But Brandon Jones is going to take the spot. Oh, and A.J. Allmendinger gets turned into the dirt by Kevin Harvick into the wall. Caution flag is back out. Harvick accidentally makes contact with the number 16 car of A.J. Allmendinger as the yellow waves. Racing back to the flag, the 3 car of Austin Dillon remains on the lead lap as Joey Logano leads the field back to the caution above Austin Cindric, who had actually gained a full second and a half on the race leader that last lap. Then third place being held by Larson. 11 car of Hamlin running in 4th, and the 40 of Quinn Half running in 5th. Here's A.J. Allmendinger just trying to let the 20 car of Brandon Jones by. 4 car of Harvick trying to really send it in. Makes contact with the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, turning him into the dirt. 4 car of Harvick also gets into it as well. But now the 16 car in a slide. 4 car Harvick gets hit by the number 9 of Chase Elliott as well. 16 car slides into the tire barrier. Heavy rear end damage on A.J. Allmendinger's pole-winning machine. Here's what happened to Harvick sliding back up in front of the field. He gets hit by the 9 car of Elliott, slides into the dirt, and then also hits the outside wall. So maybe I jinxed him talking about his consistency, because now he ends up in a crash, which is very abnormal for Harvick. Here's the onboard with Chase Elliott. See there, Harvick sends the 16 car into the dirt, trying to remerge with the field. Elliott has nowhere to go with heavy front-end damage on the 9 car. Well, look at this pit strategy. We have the 21 of Austin Cindric coming down pit road, and farther back we also have the 48 of Alex Bowman, the 53 of Chase Briscoe, and the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Those are all the cars without damage that have decided to hit the pits. As the 22 of Logano, who is actually on still older tires than anybody else, decides to stay out once again. So Joey Logano is still your race leader. Him and Paul Wolfe trying some aggressive pit strategy right here, as now Kyle Larson moves into second. Even though Logano's got a great car, I don't know if he can hold off that 57, because Larson's been very, very quick throughout the running of today's race. And the 38 of Anthony Alfredo also moves up into 5th with the pitting number 21 car. And remember that Cindric is going to drop many, many spots back because he's coming onto pit road. We have about 20 or so cars that are staying out ahead of him. You know, after that accident, A.J. Allmendinger was not too pleased with Kevin Harvick, mainly citing that he does not know why he was wrecked, whether or not it was a mistake or an actually intentional accident. He couldn't quite get a straight answer out of his spotters because it's a bit of a blind zone through the S's. But that's more or less going to be left up to speculation before AJ finally gets out of the car and is able to watch the replay, because I don't think that Harvick intended on making contact with the 16. Didn't really see where the 16 car was going, didn't really notice that he was lifting to let the 20 car Brandon Jones by, but still accidentally made contact with him, giving that 16 car very heavy damage. However, they are both still in the race. Now Logano leading the field into the restart zone for yet another single-file restart. There is the green flag. Here comes Larson to the inside as the 22 car spins his tires on the restart. It's possible that Logano's older rubber might finally be catching up to him, as now Larson trying to make it work on the outside on the exit of Turn 2, now into 3 and 3A. We also have a battle for third position between Half and Hamlin. Logano going to try and force the 57 car wide, could not quite do it, as the 20 of Brandon Jones slid it through the dirt on the exit of 3A. Still side-by-side for the top spot, but Logano will prevail. Look at the 88 going 3 wide on the inside of Eric Jones and Brandon Jones, and he has done it. Getting around the 37, 20, and 14 in that move. Alfredo side-by-side with the 40 of Quinn Half. These two battling for the 4th position. And Truex makes just a little bit of contact right there, entering turn number 9 with the 38 of Alfredo. Fortunately, that did not lead to an accident. Alfredo trying to make it work on the very outside. He slides wide. 40 car retakes the position, as back out front we still have Joey Logano trying to defend that top spot from the 57 of Larson. Here comes Eric Jones on the inside of Brandon Jones, no relation, going side by side for the 9th position. But through the S's, Eric Jones clears the 20 car as Martin Truex Jr. was battling side by side with the 88 of Brad Keselowski. That will move Truex into 6th position. Now Keselowski running well within the top 10. Denny Hamlin resides in third. I wonder if that's going to restart as well. Oh, Harvick gets turned into the tire barrier. Hard impact for the points leader. He got clipped by the 71 of Josh Bilicki. Caution flag is back out. Joey Logano is, in fact, your race leader. Side by side with the pace car right there. Lets him by. But Logano leads the field back to the caution flag above the 57 of Larson, the 11 of Hamlin, the 40 of Quinn Half, and the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. A big impact for the points leader, Kevin Harvick. That will likely knock him out of the race and potentially out of the point lead. Harvick runs it just a little bit wide into turn 10, probably because of that knockdown rear spoiler. 71 of Josh Bilicki tries to take advantage of it, gets to the inside. 4-car Harvick cuts across his nose, and Harvick goes straight into that inside tire barrier, skirts across it, and that 4-car is out of the Toyota Save Mart 350. Ironically enough, A.J. Allmendinger was right behind that accident, but did not play a hand in it. And here's the onboard with Harvick. Absolutely turned dead straight into that tire barrier and out of the race. This time by Logano finally throws the towel in. 22 car onto pit road, as well as the 11 of Hamlin, the 40 of Quinn Half, and the 20 of Brandon Jones. So that means your race leader is now Kyle Larson in the number 57, above the 38 of Anthony Alfredo, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., the 88 of Brad Keselowski, and the 14 of Clint Boyer. Pit strategy playing a crucial role in the Toyota Save Mart 350. And now Kyle Larson in the number 57 car, leading the field into the restart zone with just 5 laps to go in Stage 2. Green flag. He gets the jump on the 38. Here comes Brad Keselowski to the inside of Martin Truex Jr., entering turn number 1. Up on the outside, exiting turn number 2. Kaz Grella up into the mix as well now, battling the 37 of Eric Jones because several cars stayed out. The front runners are now pretty significantly different from what we had before. The 38 slides it wide, but so does the 50 of Grella all the way up into the dirt. Martin Truex Jr. re-clears the 88 of Brad Keselowski. Now Clint Boyer on the inside with quite a bit of damage on that 14 car, trying to get around the 88 of Keselowski in 7A. Now they're going to battle side by side through the S's. Boyer looks like he will have the advantage, and he does it. Clint Boyer clears the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. Here comes the 55 of Chastain, now side by side with the 37 of Eric Jones for position. These two battling side by side for 6th. And Chastain's going to be able to outbrake him, entering turn 11 to take up the 6th position. And the caution flag is back out once again. Kyle Larson leading the field to the start-finish line. Larson is your race leader above Anthony Alfredo. Then Martin Truex Jr., Clint Boyer, and Brad Keselowski. Yet again, we have had another pretty significant crash here at Sonoma. So because you are legally allowed to pass on the outside line before the start-finish line on the restart, that is exactly what Justin Haley and Chase Elliott were trying to do on the slower number 26 of Tyler Ankrum. However, they make contact with the 26 car, turning the 26 almost dead straight into the outside concrete barrier, and then the 26 goes on top of it and gets high-centered on the barrier separating the road course from the drag strip. 9 car of Chase Elliott with big damage, as well as the 22 of Joey Logano got some damage out of this one. Fortunately, Tyler Ankrum is uninjured in this accident, but a very strange one on the front straightaway as the 26 remains high-centered. And here's Logano coming by with nowhere to go, trying to avoid the 9 car of Elliott. Makes contact with the 9 car. Not too much damage out of it, but still quite a bit of at least aerodynamic damage on the right front fender of the 22 car. And here's the onboard with Ankrum. Didn't even barely get into second gear before getting put up into the wall. But like I said, fortunately Ankrum was uninjured in this accident. However, yet again, another freak crash here at Sonoma. This time by, we have yet another taker onto pit road. It is the 14 car of Clint Boyer on lap 33 hitting the pits. So he's trying to set up the strategy as well for the final stage once we get the stage caution and stage break after the conclusion of the second stage. So he's hoping that all the leaders right now have to come down pit road after the caution on lap 36, which they likely will, and then he may pick up quite a few spots getting around the drivers who had to pit for the stage, because I believe that Boyer does not feel like he can win this stage. If you can't win it, you might as well try and win the race. And now Kyle Larson leading the field back into the restart zone with just 2 laps to go in stage number 2. Green flag. 57 car once again gets a pretty good jump. There you see Ross Chastain trying to make up spots into turn number 1. He's on the inside of the 37 of Eric Jones. Now forced onto the outside as the racetrack obviously changes direction right there. Still side by side for position. These two going for 5th spot. Jones might be able to force Chastain a little wide right here on the crest of 3A. Couldn't quite do it, but it still looks like Jones will hold the 5th position. Look at that. The 24 gets forced wide by the 34 of McDowell. He put the bumper to him. And the 24 now with pretty significant left side damage after accidentally running into the wall on the exit of turn 4A. Still being put 3 wide by the 1 of Kurt Busch and the 23 of Wallace. And finally gets to where he can run by himself. But that 24 car with pretty significant left side damage now, as the 37 still battles side by side with the 55 of Ross Chastain. Back out front, we have the 57 of Larson still leading the 38 of Anthony Alfredo by about 3 car lengths, as the 55 of Chastain looks like he's going to take up 5th position off the 37 of Eric Jones. Now just 1 lap to go in stage number 2 for Kyle Larson. He won here last season, trying to do the very same 2 years in a row. But he will have a challenge coming from the 38 of Anthony Alfredo on this last lap of the stage. Look at Eric Jones. He has re-cleared the number 55 of Chastain. Oh, and Alfredo runs it wide at the top of the hill, trying to run down that number 57 car of Larson. That brought the 19 of Truex right up to his back bumper. And at this point, it just looks like if Larson can hang on, he will have the stage number 2 victory wrapped up. Truex trying to run down that 38 car of Alfredo for 2nd position. Looks like he can't quite do it as Alfredo takes the defensive line through the S's. Now through turn 10 and down into turn 11. Kyle Larson with about a almost 1 second lead above the 38 car. Here comes Brad Keselowski to the inside of Martin Truex Jr., going for 3rd position. And down to the start-finish line, Kyle Larson will win stage number 2 here at Sonoma in his very own number 57 car. 2nd place taken by Anthony Alfredo. 3rd was the 19 car of Truex, just barely getting it at the stripe of the 88 car of Brad Keselowski and the 37 of Eric Jones. And look at this. This was coming back to the green and white checkered flag for stage number 2. The 20 car of Brandon Jones runs it wide in turn 10. The 47 makes contact with him. Brandon Jones gets turned into the inside wall. Pretty significant damage for the 20 car. But then Denny Hamlin makes contact with the 47 of Stenhouse and actually turns the 47 upside down. He slides on his roof into the tire barrier in turn 11, knocking Ricky Stenhouse Jr. out of the race. A remarkable accident coming back to the green and white checkered flag to determine the stage number 2 winner as Larson cruised home to victory. But Stenhouse goes upside down and out of the race in a crash involving Denny Hamlin, who had kept his nose clean almost all throughout today's race. And so now, after just a few messages from our partners, we will be back right here at Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California in just a minute. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series. By Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval. And by Anthony's Online Simulation League. It looks like most of the leaders will be staying out this time by. However, Brad Keselowski is bringing that 88 car on the pit road, as well as his teammate William Byron and the 6 car of Ryan Newman. Farther back, we have Brandon Jones also hitting the pits as well. So, rather interesting that these front runners are going to try and make it as far as possible on their fuel. Kyle Larson back onto the front straightaway in the number 57 car, leading the field into the restart zone for the final stage here at Sonoma. Green flag. Here comes the 19 car, Martin Truex Jr. trying to pressure the 38 of Anthony Alfredo up the hill. Trying the outside line on the exit of turn number 2. It looks like he might be able to do it, but Alfredo's going to be able to force him wide right at the top of 3A, and he does it. 19 car Truex slides through the dirt. Anthony Alfredo protects his position and still holds the second spot. Martin Truex Jr. just tried to get a little bit too much. And look at that, a save by the number 43 of Myatt Snyder as he now goes to the inside of Kurt Busch, who tried to spin him off the exit of 4A, 3 wide for position. He drops back behind the 1 car of Kurt Busch and the 53 of Chase Briscoe. However, an incredible save by the driver, the number 43. Michael McDowell right on the back bumper of the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. These two battling for position as Benedetto runs it wide in turn 10, almost into the dirt as well. Out front, the 57 car of Larson still holds that top spot by about 0.4 of a second, back to the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. Kaz Gralla and Kyle Busch battling for position, as it looks like the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto might have been pushing the 34 on the exit of turn 11. But the 50 of Kaz Gralla getting around Kyle Busch, that moves Gralla into 6th position. Ross Chastain still holding on to the 5th spot. And how about Eric Jones? He's been outperforming in that number 37 car all season long, and now he resides in 4th position after getting the runner-up finish last week at Louisville. That team has remarkable speed this year with Eric Jones as the driver. Martin Truex Jr. gets slow on the exit of turn 4A. I wonder if there's a problem on the 19 car or if he just possibly overdrove it. It looks like he's back up to full power. He just might have made a mistake on the exit of 4A. However, great performance so far all year long for the number 37 team. They're trying to make the playoffs as they currently reside 11th in points, well within a playoff position. And you really have to wonder about Eric Jones being much, much faster in JTG Doherty equipment than he ever was in the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. It really shows you what chemistry means in our world of motorsports. If you don't have that chemistry and trust within your team, well, then you're not going to run good. It doesn't really matter how much funding you have. 10 car of Eric Almirola on pit road this time by. He was running within the top 15. Now on to pit road, hopefully trying to short pit those who still need to come down pit road to make it to the finish, such as Larson, Alfredo, Truex, and many of the front runners in today's race. Drivers farther back who we have not talked about in quite a while, such as Denny Hamlin, may be good to make it on fuel. But we'll just have to see, as that 12 car of Ryan Blaney gets forced wide by the 11 car of Hamlin. As you can tell, Blaney has that very significant front end damage. Hamlin quickly getting around that car. Matt DiBenedetto trying to outbrake the number 34 of Michael McDowell. These two battling within the top 10. In fact, we have the 2 car challenging that number 34 for 8th position, with Michael McDowell still holding that spot, trying to run down the 18 of Kyle Busch. And by the way, Busch and McDowell actually got into each other last week at Louisville. Really makes you wonder how these two will be racing each other if the 34 of McDowell can get up to the back bumper of Kyle Busch. But look at that, he runs it wide on the entry to turn 3. He's going to have to force that 2 car up into the dirt, and he does so as they slide wide, and McDowell still protecting his position. Kyle Larson with a 1.4 second lead above the second place runner Anthony Alfredo. Alfredo having a fantastic race in that 38 car. Martin Truex Jr. still resides in 3rd, trying to run him down, but he has not really been gaining any time on him. Oh, and look at that. The 48 of Alex Bowman went all the way into the dirt on the exit of turn 10, as Denny Hamlin actually slid it wide on the exit of turn 11 right there. Overran his braking zone right there, possibly got some wheel hop. Fortunately kept the car out of the wall though. But just keep in mind that these front runners will likely have to come down pit road unless they take up a very aggressive fuel-saving strategy, or we get a lot of cautions, which is what happened with Sheldon Creed in the Camping World Truck Series race. That's what allowed him to win that event, is that we got a lot of cautions late in the race. Matt DiBenedetto battling side by side with Quinn Half. These two going after each other for the 9th position. At the stripe, it was actually held by Half. Now entering turn 1 and turn 2, he slides up in front of the 2 car of DiBenedetto. Half holds the 9th position. Denny Hamlin now starting to carve his way through the field as well. Resides in 13th position, trying to run down the 1 car of Kurt Busch. Denny Hamlin gets around the 1 car of Kurt Busch after being involved in that flip with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He clears the 148 down on the inside as well of the 1 car. And now Hamlin has moved his way into 12th position. Still a very fast car, albeit being involved in an accident earlier on, and he is in probably the best fuel situation of any of the front runners, as it is likely that most of the front runners have to come down pit road, but if they play an aggressive enough fuel-saving strategy, they might be able to make it to the finish. Quinn Half has actually gotten around the number 34 of Michael McDowell. Half now trying to run down the 18 car of Kyle Busch for the 7th position. In fact, he's trying to put the bumper to him in the crest of 3A. Quinn Half still trying his hardest to run down that 18 car. Slid it wide just a little bit on the exit of turn 10, trying to outbrake Kyle Busch as we now have just 9 laps to go here at Sonoma, with the 57 car of Kyle Larson still out front. The 38 of Anthony Alfredo is 1.3 seconds behind, and 2 seconds behind the race leader is the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. Farther back, we also have Eric Jones still running in 4th, and the 55 of Ross Chastain still residing in 5th position. And look at this, Half puts the bumper to the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Busch forces him wide through the S's, but that 40 car is actually one of the fastest cars on track. Currently resides in 8th position. If we get one more caution, you're really going to have to watch out for Quinn Half in the final few laps of today's race. Here comes Half to the inside of Kyle Busch, entering turn number 1. Side by side for the 7th position. Half taking up the outside lane to try and get around the 18 car on the exit of turn 2, and he quickly clears the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Half into 7th position. Larson still out front, however, the 38 car of Anthony Alfredo has started to close the gap. It is now less than 1 second between the race leader, Kyle Larson, and the second place runner, Anthony Alfredo. We might have a battle on our hands if these two can make it to the finish. Here comes the 53 of Chase Briscoe to the inside of Denny Hamlin. Hamlin now finally up into the top 10, and he sends it into turn number 1 and clears the 53. Hamlin's got a very fast car right now, but he is behind the number 40 of Quinn Half. If we get a caution, I feel like Half is definitely the favorite. However, that number 38 car of Anthony Alfredo has closed the gap to the number 57 of Kyle Larson. It is now about half a second between 1st and 2nd position. And the caution flag is out. Yellow flag being displayed on the speedway as the 57 of Kyle Larson still out front by about 9/10 of a second above Anthony Alfredo. He was able to extend the lead out just a little bit over the last lap. 3rd place runner is Martin Truex Jr. 4th is Eric Jones at the moment, who is still hanging on to that position. A little bit slow on the exit of the corner, but these guys are right now just trying to save as much fuel as they can because they know that they are going to get 2 laps under caution, setting up a late race restart. They might not have to pit if all things go well for them. And racing back to the caution flag, Kyle Larson is still out front. 38 car of Anthony Alfredo tried diving it into the turn 11 braking zone, made up just about 2/10 of a second. Larson back to the start-finish line as your race leader. Anthony Alfredo resides in 2nd. Your 3rd place runner is Martin Truex Jr., 4th is Eric Jones, and 5th is Ross Chastain. And here was what brought out the caution, very similar to what happened between Harvick and Allmendinger. Myatt Snider lets the 8 car by. Those two are practically teammates. 88 car of Brad Keselowski does not get the memo, accidentally sends the 43 car into the inside wall. Here he comes back up across the racetrack. 14 car sends the 23 of Bubba Wallace into the dirt. We have 2 cars running all the way through the grass, and NASCAR actually threw the caution due to debris being thrown up onto the S's. Way too much dirt being thrown onto the racetrack right now for a clean racing surface. Not to mention the fact that the 43 car of Myatt Snider actually hit the wall pretty significantly, so there was probably debris flying off of that car as well, making the racing conditions just a little bit worse. With less than 5 laps to go, we got a couple cars coming down pit road this time by. Clint Boyer's one of them, as well as Myatt Snider. They are far enough in the back that they're just putting on fresh tires, I guess grasping for straws, hoping to get just a little bit more track position than they would have otherwise, just setting where they were. So it is going to turn into an all-out duel between the 57 of Kyle Larson and the 38 of Anthony Alfredo, as we are going to go green with just 3 laps to go here at Sonoma. If we get one more caution, the race will likely end under caution. So this really is the money restart. Oh, and Kyle Larson signifies that he has a problem on the number 57. Larson appears to have a tire coming apart under caution. The field getting ready to take the restart with just 3 laps to go here at Sonoma. Anthony Alfredo has inherited the race lead in the number 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. This is the restart of his life. He's going to have to make sure that he gets the next 6 miles perfect if we do not get another caution, because he has got one of the sport's finest road course racers right on his back bumper, Martin Truex Jr. As there you see Larson coming down pit road with the pace car, the number 38, gearing up for the restart here at Sonoma Raceway. Anthony Alfredo leading the field into the restart zone. And there's the green flag. Just 3 laps to go here at Sonoma. An unfortunate break for Kyle Larson knocks him out of a chance at winning here 2 years in a row. Alfredo gets a pretty good jump. A nice and clean run through turns 1 and 2. Here comes Eric Jones trying to battle Martin Truex Jr. Couldn't quite do it. Now there's a battle for 3rd position between Chastain and Jones. Martin Truex Jr. right on the back bumper, the 38, entering turn 4A. Might try and outbrake him into 7A. Truex all over his back bumper, but can't quite do anything with it. Eric Jones battling with Ross Chastain for the 3rd position. Chastain will take it in the 55 car. We are still under green. Fortunately, as any other further cautions will bring the end of today's race. 38 car of Anthony Alfredo pulls a very significant gap on the 19 car of Truex, as the 18 car of Kyle Busch has been turned around. Yellow flag is out. The Gibbs teammates collide. This will likely end the race. Anthony Alfredo racing out of turn number 11 in the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. Down to the start-finish line, Alfredo is your race leader, outracing Martin Truex Jr. in the 19 car. Chastain took up 3rd. Eric Jones dropped down to 4th, and Kaz Gralla raced his way into 5th. This will end the race. If Anthony Alfredo can make it just 2 laps under caution, he has won his first career NASCAR Cup Series race at the Sonoma Raceway. Look at this. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch racing each other off of turn 8A. Hamlin pushes up into the 53 of Chase Briscoe, makes contact with Briscoe, slides down into his teammate Kyle Busch. Hamlin and Busch both go around and into the tire barrier. Remember, these two had a run-in the Busch Clash where they wrecked each other on the last lap. And now Hamlin and Kyle Busch lose all the track position that they amassed and will finish at the tail end of the lead lap. So you may be thinking this race is over, right? Well, a lot of these front runners were very close on their fuel situation, so making it this last lap and a half under caution is a little bit more of a challenge than it may sound like it is. If you recall here back in 2010, Marcus Ambrose accidentally coasted uphill and ended up stalling his number 47 car, which allowed Jimmy Johnson to win his only career road course race in NASCAR's Cup Series. Well, you sure don't want to do that right here while you're trying to save fuel to win the race. Truex gives the 38 car of Alfredo just a little bit of a bump right there on the exit of turn number 11. As now onto the front straightaway, Anthony Alfredo sees the white flag in the 38 car. Front Row Motorsports trying to win their 4th win as a NASCAR Cup Series team. They won with David Reagan. They won with Chris Buescher. They most recently won with Michael McDowell, who, by the way, is running in 7th. But right now, they have the 38 car of Anthony Alfredo out front with less than 2 miles left under caution in the Toyota Save Mart 350. What a story it would be for Alfredo if he can in fact do this. Alfredo, a rookie in NASCAR's Cup Series. In his first ever season, it looks like he has beat Martin Truex Jr. for the win. And now Alfredo has gotten the hard part of conserving gas here out of the way for the most part, because from here on out, this racetrack goes downhill. You can save quite a bit of fuel going downhill, but you really can't save any going up. And after a wild race here at Sonoma, which saw cars pile into the tire barriers, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. flip entering turn 11, a rookie is going to win the Toyota Save Mart 350. Coming down to the start-finish lines with the checkered flag in the flagman's hand, Anthony Alfredo is now a NASCAR Cup Series winner, winning the 2021 Toyota Save Mart 350 from Sonoma Raceway. 10 races, 10 different winners, with Alfredo beating out Martin Truex Jr. here at Sonoma and taking advantage of an unfortunate problem for Kyle Larson. And this was no fluke, because Alfredo was out front for the majority of the race today. He just managed to take advantage of when that 57 car dropped back, because otherwise I think Larson would have had this thing won. But that tire came apart within the final 5 laps of the race, and that opened the doors wide open for Alfredo. A huge win for Anthony Alfredo in NASCAR's top level. Anthony Alfredo has never driven a full season in any of NASCAR's National Series, and he had never won a national event before today's race. In fact, I'm not even sure if he had ever participated at the Sonoma Raceway. But he has won the Toyota Save Mart 350 NASCAR Cup Series race above Martin Truex Jr. in a battle there in the final closing laps. And ironically enough, it was a wreck between the Gibbs cars which allowed Martin Truex Jr. to actually lose the race, because that 19 car was a little faster than the 38 but could not get around Alfredo in time. Ross Chastain finishes in third in the number 55 car. Eric Jones finishes in fourth in that 37. Another fantastic finish for that team. Kaz Grala in 5th. Quinn Half 6th. A great run for Chip Ganassi Racing. Michael McDowell finishes in 7th, making it a top 10 for both Front Row Motorsports cars, with Alfredo winning and McDowell finishing in 7th. Chase Briscoe finishes in 8th. Alex Bowman, after having a tough race all day, brings home a 9th place finish. Matt DiBenedetto finishes in 10th. And Ryan Blaney, with no front bumper cover and no hood, finishes in 11th. And keep in mind, because next week is the All-Star race, Anthony Alfredo has actually locked himself in to the NASCAR All-Star race at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. In your regular season point standings following Sonoma, even knowing Kevin Harvick wrecked twice and actually DNF'd, Harvick still sets atop the point standings by 19 points above Matt DiBenedetto, who has now moved up 2 spots in the standings up to 2nd. Also 19 points out is DiBenedetto's teammate, Joey Logano, who dropped down 1 spot in the point standings due to the tiebreaker and resides 3rd in points. Clint Boyer dropped down 1 spot in the point standings, 29 markers out of the point lead, and he runs in 4th in the standings. Austin Dillon picks up another 3 spots in points. He is now top 5 in the point standings with only 3 laps led on the season. He's 45 points out of the point lead. Alex Bowman picks up 4 spots after Sonoma. He's 48 points out of the point lead, resides in 6th. Chase Elliott dropped down 1 spot in the standings, down to 7th. He's 50 points out. Hamlin dropped down 3 spots in points to 8th. He is 53 points out. Eric Jones moved up 2 spots in the standings. He's up to 9th and is 56 points out of the point lead. And Justin Allgaier drops down 3 spots in the point standings, and he currently resides in 10th in the points, 66 out of the point lead, which is held by Kevin Harvick. In your playoff standings, even knowing that we've had 10 races with 10 different winners, Brendan Poole is not running the full season, so he is not on this list, and Anthony Alfredo is actually not within the top 30 in the standings. So far, his win at Sonoma does not mean an automatic advancement. He will have to race his way into the top 30 in the standings to both be in the playoffs, and he would automatically be leading the rookie points, because he is the only rookie this year with a win. So if he can get into the top 30, that would technically automatically put him into 9th in the standings. So he would by far be the leader of the rookie standings. So Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, Jan Magnussen, and Josh Bilicki are all locked in with their wins on the year. Matt Benedetto is currently the best of the rest, as well as Joey Logano. Those two are tied for 54 points above the cutoff line. Clinton Boyer is 45 points above. Austin Dillon is 28 points above. Alex Bowman, 25 above. Eric Jones, 17 above. Justin Allgaier, 7 points above. Brad Keselowski is 1 point above that cutoff line. Daniel Suarez is 1 point out. Tyler Reddick is 4 points out. Michael McDowell is 5 points out of the playoffs. And Kurt Busch is 18 points out after almost winning the title last season. And so from all of us here at the Speed Station, we hope that you have enjoyed our telecast of the Toyota Save Mart 350 from Sonoma Raceway. The next time you'll be seeing us will be for post-tech as we go on to the analysis of the Strat 200, the Camping World Truck Series race held on All-Star Week. And then the next time you'll be seeing us for a full NASCAR Cup Series race broadcast is for the All-Star Open. Part of NASCAR's brand new All-Star Week at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll have the All-Star Open right here, as well as the All-Star Race, where NASCAR's best go for the full $1 million prize at the end of the race. And so we congratulate Anthony Alfredo and Front Row Motorsports on their first win together in NASCAR's Cup Series at the Sonoma Raceway.